This episode of Experiences You Should Have is brought to you by Soul Blends, handcrafted in Oregon from botanicals to bottle, multiple healing balms, salves, and moisturizing products to bring life to your skin. Check out Soul Blends and use the code EYSH to receive 10% off your order.
We had a lot of tourists from England and everything else. Get them all set up. The balloon is standing up, ready to go. And I run back to the van. I put my Skydive on and I jump in the basket with them. And they would look at me and go, what are you wearing? I said, oh, it's just my parachute. They're like, do we get one? I'm like, nah, you don't need one. Well, why don't we need one? Well, I'm only going halfway.
Welcome to Experiences You Should Have, your how-to guide for amazing experiences. I'm your host, Gail Manasco, and today we are talking about jumping off a hot air balloon. I chatted with a good friend of mine, Dennis Neal, about this amazing experience. Now, Dennis and I used to skydive together a lot back in the day, and Dennis has the most hot air balloon jumps of any of my friends. He has jumped out of a hot air balloon, I think 47 times. And Dennis was there for my first time of jumping out of a hot air balloon. And I can say that I have never landed in a hot air balloon. And I thought it would just be fun to have Dennis on the show, kick back and just have a conversation about skydiving out of a hot air balloon. So get ready for the ultimate adventure. This is the experience that I turned to in my head when I went to go to my happy place. It is that moment of leaping from a hot air balloon. Well, hi, Dennis. Welcome to the show.
Gail, how are you? Glad to be here.
I'm good. I'm so good. I'm so happy you're here. You're just one of those people, just when I think of you, it makes me smile.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
You surprised me at my house last year showing up one day.
I did. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue, bopping to see Dennis in Orlando. It's pretty fun.
We have mutual friends that lived across the street, so that was kind of cool.
I know. Well, you never know, Dennis. I might just show up on your doorstep or in your backyard one day. I swear it's not creepy, but
anytime. You're welcome anytime.
Okay. You never know what brings me to Florida. I have such fond memories of being in Florida. And I think one of my favorite memories in or near Orlando was with you. Do you remember this day?
A little more information. I'm getting older.
Oh, you and I set out south of Orlando and we met up with Bob. We met with Bob in a field.
Yes, a very foggy morning.
A very foggy morning, correct.
If I remember correctly, the load was myself, you, Rick Ream, and I'm trying to remember the Jeremy Cotto.
Yes, Jeremy Cotto.
To do a balloon jump first thing in the morning.
Yes, we had to get up early. I hate getting up early. It's not my jam.
I don't like getting up early either, but if you can take and jump out of a balloon, I'll get up early.
Yes, I remember thinking, I'm like, okay, I don't get up early in my life, but I will get up early to jump off of a hot air balloon. Like that's way better than coffee.
Well, I had done a bunch of them, and I was actually organizing balloon jumps at that time. And that one there definitely sticks out in my memory because of the amount of fog and where we had to get into the balloon.
Yes, yes. So it was a super foggy day. And the thing is, you don't want to skydive in fog.
The
I mean, it's not even allowed, right?
the fog, you got to be able to see, especially
Right.
when the ground is coming up at you. But the fog set in. It was really low. It was thick, like a mystic seaport somewhere, and just where a mystery ship would come in, and it's just a movie looking type of fog. And Bob, the pilot, had launched from somewhere else and was going to meet us somewhere. And if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, I'm trying to remember the day now, we had to get into a gated neighborhood,
Yes,
but we
we
had
did.
we had no access. And I just kept pushing buttons until somebody answered, and I said, "Pizza delivery." Here it is at 6:35 in the morning, and someone actually opened the gate, and they're like, "Sweet."
Yeah. I was worried about if we were going to be able to get into the neighborhood, and then there you are. You did it, you know?
Sure, why not? Whatever works. And we actually had we parked in the neighborhood, and then started trudging through the woods. Had a cell phone. He's calling us. We can't see him. I mean, there's no way to
No.
see. It was so thick, you couldn't see in front of your face. But he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming over here, this and that." I'm like, "I have no idea where you are." And trudging through people's backyards, into the woods, knee deep in brush. And what is going on? We got our rigs on. We're ready to go. And next thing you know, this hot air balloon, appears out of the fog in the middle of the woods. How he
Yes.
landed the balloon in the middle of the woods without popping it or tearing it open or anything else was just beyond me. I was amazed. I had just started wearing a camera helmet at that time. And so recording this was fantastic. I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is what we're doing here. Looking around with the camera going, there's nothing out here. Here's this balloon descending in the small little clearing with these 60-foot pine trees all around. And I just thought, all I thought was the Hindenburg. He's
Mhm.
gonna pierce the balloon or something. It's gonna come down in a flaming ball of fire. But there it was. He landed. He's like, "Get in. Let's do it." I'm like, "Wow, okay, we're in."
I could not believe it. And I remember that day I actually had midterms at
Haha.
UCF, and I had my notes that I need to be studying in my back pocket. And I remember pulling them out of my pocket and like reading through some notes for my test that day. And
But there you were in the middle of the woods in Davenport, Florida, going through the swamps looking for a hot air balloon to jump out of.
right,
Yeah.
right. I think I was the only UCF student doing that day. Um, that was quite an adventure. So we took off from the forest, and then the
I,
fog was
we
still
had to
there.
we had to wait for a while. He kept calling the weather people and the other balloons that were in the air, and everybody was on the ground. So I think we waited a good, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes sitting there,
Yeah, and
if I
that was my
remember right.
first time in a hot air balloon. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I was organizing those jumps, and that was probably, if I had to think about it, I think that was probably my 25th or 26th balloon jump at the time.
nice,
Yeah.
Dennis. That is extremely nice.
I was hooked. It's good to have friends in low places or a friend with a hot air balloon.
Right. And I want to say you only need it's a very low amount. It's like 10 hours or 20 hours to become a hot air balloon pilot. Do you know that?
Well, it's actually if you want to do it for fun and you have your own balloon, sure, it's I believe it's a little more than that. You need your pilot's
Okay.
license, but to ferry passengers,
Yeah.
you need your commercial pilot's license, which
Uh-huh.
almost the same rigmarole as a commercial airline pilot.
Right.
There's no
Right.
steering wheel, there's no brakes. It's just hot air and a release cord to release the heat, so you come down back to the earth. But Bob is one of the best balloon pilots I've ever flown with, and it's amazing where seen him land the balloons and take off and just pilot it to where it needs to be. It's amazing with no steering wheel or anything else that you can get from point A to point B just by the aloft winds going left and right or north and
Mm.
south.
And then it's wherever the wind takes you.
Sure,
It's
but you
that's
can gain some altitude to turn left, and you can lower some altitude, maybe turn right. But
right.
there's no visuals. It's all feel really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when we were doing the jumps out of the balloon, sure, we need some altitude. Most of the balloon rides, at tourists and all that, and they're anywhere between 500 and 1,000 feet. But we
Mm-hmm.
like altitude, so he would bring us to 4,500 to 5,000 feet
Mm-hmm.
just to have that extra room,
Right.
which was
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah. Which which for our listeners out there, many times skydivers would jump from 13,500 feet. So balloon jumps are a bit lower than just a
Sure.
typical everyday skydive. Yeah. I remember on that day it was a bit lower though.
I think once the fog started lifting, it was a little bit later, where the winds pick up when the sun heats up, clears and all that, and then you want to make sure you get it in because the balloons obviously you can't steer. So when the winds pick up, you don't want to really be up there. So I remember we finally lifted off. We got to about, I think, I'm trying to remember, it was a few years ago, but I think it was somewhere around 3,700.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the
Hmm.
video. I have
Yeah.
my altimeter in the video, and it was now or never at that point. It was like we got to go. So you get out there and you do it. I remember I videoed you getting out, and I just started doing video. I was able to get a stable position and catch your whole flight and deployment.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was really
That was
cool.
really cool.
And it's one of those things where you catch that moment, and it lives forever on video. And I remember it like it was 2 weeks ago.
I agreed. And I remember jumping out of the balloon. It was such a surreal experience because
No
it was
wind.
so quiet and no wind. And I remember just flipping out of the balloon.
You did good. You got in your track
Yeah,
position and went the other
yeah,
way.
yeah. But it was just this feeling I wasn't used to, and just catching dead air essentially was very unique. So not something I experienced every day, just jumping from planes already going 80 knots.
Yeah, no relative wind. You're not at terminal speed. It just kind of feels like you're falling into nothing.
Yeah.
Which my first couple jumps, that's exactly what it felt. But after a few jumps under your belt, you learn to fly your body into it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Sure.
Dennis, that's so cool. It's just this, I can still picture, what the earth looked like, and feeling the stomach drop, which is a unique
Yeah.
sensation because you don't feel your stomach drop when you skydive from a plane.
No.
But from the balloon, it's just that whomp.
Luckily, I met somebody with a balloon, and he was an awesome pilot. And he used to jump out of the balloon when he could find someone to fly it for him. Obviously, um, we had fun with Bob doing that as well. But I worked for him for a little bit. To be able to jump, I would work for him in the morning, set up the balloon, get the passengers in him. It was a tourist. Uh, Not I want to say tourist attraction, but sure, you get the balloon in the morning. Mostly tourists that come to this area and they want to do a champagne balloon flight.
Right.
So I wanted to get to 100 balloon jumps myself because I thought the first couple times I did it was absolutely amazing. And so I was working real estate at the time, so I had time in the morning, and so I would meet Bob at 5 o'clock in the morning somewhere and figure out which way the winds are going. He'd figure out where they were going to launch from, where they were going to land. I'd get the balloon ready, get it set up, and my job was to chase the balloon and wherever they landed, so that all the gear and the trailer and stuff was there. But if I could, I would put my rig on and jump in the basket with them. And most of the time, they're tourists, and we had a lot of tourists from England and everything else, and get them all set up. The balloon is standing up, ready to go, and I run back to the van. I put my Skydive on, and I jump in the basket with them, and they would look at me and go, "What are you wearing?" I said, "Oh, that's just my parachute." They're like, "Do we get one?" I'm like, "Nah, you don't need one." Well, why don't we need one? Well, I'm only going halfway. And that would just kind of freak them out a little bit. So, at that point, we're descending up to, 4,000, 4,500, 5,000 feet. We tried to go straight up as much as possible because, I got to get out and land and get back to the van and follow wherever they're going to go. And I just remember a whole handful of times that, you get some young passengers or older passengers in there, and they're totally freaked out at this point, not knowing what is going on. Get to 4,500, 5,000 feet. I'm like, all right, I'm leaving. They're like, what do you mean you're leaving? Where are you going? The basket's no bigger than, a twin bed. And, I climb up on the edge of the basket, and I can't tell you how many times people grab my legs, like, don't do it. You're too young. You're going to die. I'd jump out, and you could hear them screaming. It was fantastic. It was always a thrill first thing in the morning, to do that, and wake up, you're alive. It was just an awesome feeling. Again, I wanted to do 100 jumps. That was my goal. I ended up with 47 jumps out of a balloon, more than anybody I've ever met. Jumping out of a balloon. So I'll take 47. Maybe one of these days I'll get back into it. I don't know, I'm getting old, but I thought 47 was a pretty good accomplishment there. More than anybody I've known ever jumping out of a balloon.
Well done, Dennis.
Yeah.
47 balloon jumps. I think it's pretty amazing. No, that's freaking fantastic.
Some people spend their whole career skydiving wishing they could jump out of a balloon. It's not every day you get to jump out of a balloon or plan one at a particular place because of the winds and how things work.
Right.
But I remember almost every single one of them. I've got fond memories. Got to jump out of the balloon at 1,400 feet once. Not planned.
What?
Yeah, not planned. It was a very hot July morning. Had Chris Ash and Greg Shelton.
I love Chris Ash.
A couple others. There was their first balloon jump. They were experienced jumpers, but it was their first balloon jump. And it was a brand new balloon. And he hadn't calibrated the heat sensor in it yet. So we got up to about 1,500 feet, and the alarm was going off, going, no more heat, no more heat. It wasn't calibrated yet. And Bob's like, we got to lose some weight. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, somebody's got to get out. We can't go any further. I'm like, what? So I'm looking around. I'm the one that's organizing this. I'm like, everybody here is like first time balloon jumpers. I'm like, I already had a few jumps out. I'm like, all right, let's go. So Chris Ash, he grabbed my pilot chute, and everybody turned on their video, and I'm like, all right, this is what I love. This is what it wasn't planned, but get out. We were dropping. I think by the time I got out, it was right around just under 1,400 feet over Wallaby Ranch, which is a hang gliding place.
Yeah.
And I just went for it. Thinking back now, I'm like, geez, would I ever do that again? Unplanned? Probably not so much, but there I was in the moment, loving it. And Chris grabbed my pilot chute so that when I jumped, he pulled it out. I didn't pack for a quick opening, I didn't slide her up or anything like that. It's just, it was a snivel for about 700 feet. And I'm just looking up at the parachute going, come on, just open up, please, open up. It felt like an eternity, but it was only a few seconds. I think I was open under a, full canopy at like just under 700 feet.
Oh my God.
Right? Pucker factor.
Was your AAD turned off?
I don't even remember even turning it on, turning it off, and all that. Just went for it.
My gosh. Oh,
Yeah,
the feels I am feeling right now, Dennis.
sure.
My goodness.
Again, would I do it again in a situation? I don't know. I might think about it twice, but that
Mm-hmm.
morning was not thinking about it. It was just heck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
La vida loca.
Yeah. You lived.
La vida loca.
I
That was way before YOLO, right?
right,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
I can't say YOLO.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I have never jumped from that low of altitude.
Sure.
I think
Who would? Who would? Why would you want to? It's like, unless you're doing a base jump or something and you're planning on it and you had a base rig
right,
packed for
right.
a small short opening.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just one of those life things that happened and lived through it and went woohoo.
Well done. I'm very happy that you're still alive, Dennis.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. No, totally. I remember when started skydiving, I had a small child, and everybody was like, not everybody, but people would be like, "What do you have, a death wish?" I'm like, "No, I have a life wish. I want to experience life and experience all
Mm-hmm.
these things." And one day I knew somebody that had a hot air balloon. I'm like, "Wow, that's awesome."
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
So 47 times I've been in a balloon. I've never landed in a balloon.
I've never landed in a balloon
This
either.
is true. This is true.
Ah,
Right?
isn't that fun?
Sure.
Listeners, you should try this. Okay, well let's break down some logistics for our listeners out there because if they want to add this to their bucket list,
Become a
they should
skydiver
know
first.
what to do.
Sure.
Yeah, become a skydiver, get certified, go through like an accelerated free fall course, get your A license
Learn how
at
to fly a
25
canopy.
jumps. Yeah. Then get a B license at 50 jumps and then get a C license at 200 skydives. Plus all sorts of other things you need to do.
200 jumps, landing on the drop zone, on target, not just, willy-nilly, here and there and all that, but, just like anything else,
Mhm.
you got to learn your craft. You got to learn how to fly a canopy.
Right.
Sure, it's not your average every day. You're not over a drop zone. You're over rural areas. You're not in a controlled space. Where we landed that day when you did the jump was the backside of a neighborhood that wasn't built yet. So there was
Right.
there was some room. There was room to land and everything else. We landed near the road and where the trailer was. But I've landed on top of a school before. I've landed in the median in I-4.
Uh-huh.
Swooping a bus stop at 7 o'clock in the morning while the kids standing on the side of the road waiting for a bus. Uh, all these places. I landed in this guy's backyard one day, and I turn around, he's standing there on his lanai, in a robe and with a cup of coffee, going, "Where the f did you just come from?" And I'm like, "Well, see that balloon up there?" He looks over, he looks at the balloon, he goes, "No shit. All right." I landed on a golf course, coming over the people's heads on hole number one, yelling behind them at, 70 feet over their head, going, "4." They're on the first hole looking like, who the hell's behind us? They didn't even see me. I was 70 feet over their head. Just the little things. But yeah, you gotta know how to land. Landing a parachute in an open field, sure, it's great, but jumping out of a balloon, it could be anywhere. The reason why I landed on top of a elementary school one day was because it was just trees all around. I wasn't going to make it over the fence to a clearing. So I'm like, you know what? There's a clearing right there, right on top of the school. I'll take it. There's no going back
It's
up. It's always coming down.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And it's just so adventurous because I mean, I like to plan. I like to know what's going to happen, but the thing is with a balloon jump, you have no idea what's
No,
going to happen.
no. The winds could pick up out of a different direction, all that, and move you around. Yeah, it's definitely a thrill, but not for the inexperience. You got to have some experience under you for sure. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't land on
Mm-hmm.
the same spot, say 5, 6 times in a row at your local drop zone where you know where you are and you know where the buildings are, you know where the road is, you know where the trees are, do a bunch more before you attempt something like that, for sure,
Right. Right.
for sure.
That's, that is good advice, Dennis.
Yeah, as I
And
get older, but I got called one day and said, "Hey, you want to jump out of a balloon?" Hell yeah.
and then on average, how much would you say a balloon jump costs?
Oh, this was a bunch of years ago that we did it,
I know. I know.
and it was so the balloon operator's got to make a certain amount of money, without taking passengers. So there's
Right.
fuel costs, there's showing up and going to work and making it happen. So I believe back then we were charging $80.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even tell you what it is
Hmm.
now. It was a few years ago.
Right. I don't even know.
But fuel costs, I get it. I don't get out of bed for free on a daily basis, anyways, either. So,
Right.
um,
Right.
but as a skydiver and all that, I mean, someone says $80, let's go jump out of a hot air balloon, you're fined $80.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep,
You'll sell some textbooks,
sure.
your plasma, your clothes.
Whatever needed to get it done.
there's there's ways, guys. Before you know it, you're living in a tent at a drop zone and
Yeah. Well, like Chris Ash and Greg Shelton, doing those jumps with me, and they extreme flyers, and they're fantastic in their sport. And here they are, calling me, going, "Hey, dude, I really want to do one of those. I've never done one."
Mhm.
And sure, they're like, "Yep, you got to meet me at 5 o'clock in the morning in Kissimmee, Florida." And they're like, "Okay, we'll be there. Just tell us when.
Yeah. Right.
Let's make it happen." I mean, I don't know if
Whew.
they have any more balloon jumps in them and all that. That's why I kept going, because I wanted to see how many I could get, before
Yeah.
leaving the sport.
Well, nice job, Dennis. We got to do some fun jumps together. We even did some night jumps in Sebastian
Yeah,
together.
that was my first night jump. I think that was your first jump as well. I actually was looking at that photo not too long ago.
Ah,
Uh,
my first night jump was in Z Hills, and then I did a few more in Sebastian.
I think you came on my first night jump, and Chuck Bryan did photos for us for the night jump.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm actually gonna have a podcast episode about skydiving at night
Oh yeah, it's dark.
too. Yeah, uh-huh. That's fun, right?
Yeah. Definitely nervous and thrilling at the same time. It's just amazing.
Yeah. My
Amazing.
gosh, I love it. I absolutely love it. We've had some good times together, Dennis, and
Remember you
and
were,
hope to have some more adventures one day
I
together. You never
remember I
know.
picked you up somewhere in Orlando and went to Skydive Palatka for the weekend for a boogie.
Oh yeah, was that the Hog Flop?
Yeah,
That was the Hog Flop. The Hog Flop was fun. That was a fun
I
boogie.
resurrected that boogie
Nice job. Very
single-handedly. It was
nice job.
fantastic. Yep.
Oh
I think they
yeah.
still do it, which is good.
Yeah. Well, one day we should just show up at the Hog Flop.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Do you remember
Mm,
doing the electric spoon challenge?
Okay, so is this when everybody would hold their hands and have the electric charge go through everybody?
So basically,
Is that the one you're talking about?
it was a stripped down extension cord with metal spoons tied, wrapped up on the ends, and then somebody plugs it in, everybody holds hands, and you start losing people.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and it was at the Hog Flop Bookie in Palatka. It was the first time I'd ever seen this
Sure.
happen, and I'm like, "What
It's
is
it's not
going on?"
recommended on a daily basis, but when you're surrounded by a bunch of people that jump out of airplanes and a lot of beer and booze out there, sure, it sounds like a good time.
I'm like, I've never seen this at a drop zone. I mean, I tried it,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm like, we're electrically charged right now.
Yeah, like I said, I don't recommend it to anybody, but we're all professionals in a drop zone.
Right?
Professional drinkers, but
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
professional
There
at
was a
something.
lot of, right. You know, we had fun. We had a lot of fun, Dennis.
Look, people think, we're extreme and all that. It's just like any other sport that you get into. You get into it. I mean, you live the lifestyle. You
Mm-hmm.
do what you can to
Mm-hmm.
do it, and hang out with the people that do it. And sometimes you get in trouble. Sometimes you do a lot of
Right.
drinking, but it's all about camaraderie and what we do. Some people may not go to bed early enough to wake up to do the first load, but we've all been there. But it's all about
Right.
jumping the next day.
Absolutely. And what fun memories of just
Yeah,
in free fall with your friends and making different formations and
all over the country.
yeah. And then seeing friends all over the country.
Yep.
You make friends in Florida and see them in California, then see them in Arizona. It's quite an amazing community.
I went all up and down the East Coast for a couple of years there, and I knew somebody everywhere I went. It was amazing. If you didn't have a place to stay, they'd open up for you or whatever, they'd give you a trailer or a tent, whatever needed to be done to make you welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. I miss that.
Yep.
I really miss that. It's one of my favorite parts about skydiving
Oh,
is the
sure,
community.
sure.
Originally, what drew me in was the bonfire at Lake Wales. There was this bonfire one evening, which turned out not to be the most common occurrence at Lake Wales. It's a little bit more common in other drop zones,
Sure.
but everybody just surrounded together by the bonfire, hearing the crackle,
Telling
stories of the
stories. Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I equate them
And
to fishing stories sometimes. I caught this fish so big. Yeah, okay. Uh,
and I was like, these are my people. These are like adventure hippies living at the drop zone. Like I want to be a part of this. And then I joined, I joined the group.
I gotta say, it saved my life.
Yeah. How
Um,
so?
I was married for a bunch of years, had a small child. We got divorced. I was hanging out at the bar, playing darts on a nightly basis, and just not going anywhere. And I'm like, I got out of this funk. And an old high school girlfriend came into town and said, "Hey, you want to go skydiving?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, yeah, let's go." And this will tell you how long ago it was. We looked it up in the phone book and found Skydive to land, and went up and did a tandem, and it was amazing. We got up the next day and said, "Let's do that again." So we went and did it again. It was even better. She was going to move down here, and I waited a little bit, so I used to hang out at the drop zone for a few weekends. And I'm like, "Hey, you gonna move down here?" "No, I can't really move down here." And I said, "All right, well, I'm going to the drop zone this weekend, and I'm gonna sign up for my course." I showed up to the drop zone with $500. Like, "Hey, this is enough to start?" They grabbed it and said, "Yep, sure is." Be here in the morning. And that's pretty much it. She had 2 jumps, and I think I ended my career somewhere around 1100.
Nice
Yeah,
job, Dennis.
sure. I was hooked from day one.
Yeah. I've got 430 under the belt
Nothing wrong with
and
that. The way I look at
no,
it, everybody starts with 1. No matter how many jumps you
right.
have, everybody had the same number at the start.
Right. And right now I'm on hold, but I don't know, maybe when my daughter goes to college.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
My
It's still there.
my longtime girlfriend, we never jumped together, but she used to jump at Lake Wales way before I even started jumping. So
Oh,
we have that in
very
common. Yeah,
cool.
when we first met, we're like, "Oh yeah,
Oh,
she used to jump," and I knew a lot of the same people that she was talking about. I'm like, "Wow, how did we never cross paths?" But she had just got out of it before I even started,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but still knew a lot of the same people.
Dennis, I love walking down memory lane with you.
Sure. No, I'm glad you
It's
called.
it's really nice. Thank you. Thank you.
I could do this for hours. I got a whole bunch of memories.
Well, we'll have to do round two.
No worries, anytime.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dennis. Just truly, truly appreciate it.
I love the passion. I love the sport. I love the people I met in it. Gail, I met you years ago, and I still remember you to this day. And hanging out, doing jumps. you and I in different states and different drop zones and all that. We'd always cross paths. It was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will continue to cross paths,
Of course.
and I'll show up in your backyard.
Yeah, maybe next
Who knows when?
maybe next podcast we'll talk about that Team Dirty Sanchez.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hit me
we'll
up.
See. Okay, sounds good.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gail. Blue skies.
Thank you, Dennis. Blue skies. Thank you so much for listening to Experiences You Should Have podcast. If you love this episode, also check out the episode of Skydiving at Night. I think I mentioned jumping at New Year's, which Dennis, who was just on the show, he and I got to skydive at night together as Skydive Sebastian. So go check that out. I even put a picture of us jumping together on the Skydiving at Night show notes. Also, if you check out the show notes for this episode, you'll see the video that Dennis took of my first hot air balloon jump. So definitely go check it out on experiencesyoushouldhave.com. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see the episode there, or click on episodes and there you can find it. Yeah, this is just a really just fun experience. I love getting to connect with old friends and talk about skydiving. And if you're interested in learning about that first time skydiving, check out the episode with Melanie Curtis on first time skydiving. Melanie shares about her first jump. I think I talk about my first jump and a little bit on how to take that first leap of faith. So got some fun episodes for you to check out. If you loved this podcast and you are listening on an iPhone, please pull up that purple podcast app and kindly leave a 5-star review. Now, we are an indie podcast, so please tell your friend, tell your neighbor, tell your enemies about this podcast and how it can show you the world of new experiences and give you a how-to guide to make that incredible, amazing experience happen. So thank you for listening, and until our next adventure.